But briefly, whilst others are joining in, fortunately, you are here with us as the first participant. And Justina has joined us too here. Should I say the second participant? So the team is building up, and we're looking at having conversation around sea turtles. Some of us are from inland, are the inland people. Others are the coastal people. I have no idea where Christian is from. Christian, where do you come from?
Right. I happen to be a friend to Eunice Osei-Yeboah, and she shared the link with me, and I tried to join.
Oh, I see. This is like home support, huh?
That is right.
We always need it. Home support is good. It really boosts the confidence, and so Eunice, you're not here alone. but to have Christian, not any other name but Christian. It's a brilliant home support, and we're looking forward to the discussion from Eunice. We did a recce some few days ago, and she was awesome. Awesome, sharing insights on the way forward and other things. So yes, today is
Daniel, you are making me tense. I'm tense already.
Yeah. So it's going to be a lovely time. The team is here. We have Prince. We have Prince Appiah, journalist, member of the SOA Ghana. We have Eunice Osei-Yeboah, an ocean researcher and member of the SOA Ghana. We have Kweku Afedzi, ocean researcher and a member of the SOA Ghana. So here you have communications as well as research scientists joining us. So it's that kind of conversation. It's going to be like, okay, you do more of the technical bit, and I do more of the decentralization and the breaking of communications to people. How can we merge and how can we get things done better? So all the questions you have, even Eunice, I think Christian should give us more questions to Eunice. Then from Kweku's side, there's also going to be insights on that. So yes, Kweku, welcome Kweku. Thanks so much for joining. And it's exciting to see you here.
Can you hear me?
Brilliant, loud and clear.
All right, good.
You're so audible. No, Eunice came with Christian. Who did you come with?
He will join very soon.
Oh, actually, great.
Yeah, actually, so there's somebody with the Fisheries Commission. He works with the Fisheries Commission in Ghana. He will join very soon. Yeah.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. So he works with the Fisheries Commission in Western region, and he will join very soon. But there is also another guy. He's also like a journalist. He works with one of the radio stations in the Western region, and he will also join as well. So they will join very soon.
Oh, good. I like the home support, and I like the partnerships and all. That's what we're looking out for. That at the end of the day, we are able to get more people into the conversation, ask them what exactly we can do, and how we can partner. Because we have Justina here, we have Blessing Kesinonu here. So Justina, great to have you.
It's great to have you too, Dan. Hi, Dan.
Yes.
It's great to hear from you.
Yes. So Kweku is asking, is it the Justina he knows? Yes.
I'm not sure.
You know me.
I
haven't shown my face,
yeah.
But I think my walk.
I think my face is again.
Hi.
Hi.
Yeah.
Kweku, long time. Tell I miss you.
Prince, good to see and good to hear from you. Wow. It's been a while.
Yeah, bro.
Wow. In fact, forgive me, we are supposed to have a conversation.
We definitely have to. We definitely have to.
Yes. So, whilst we having interaction, the meetup, Justin Amwa, could you share with us a little background of who you are? We're curious.
Yeah. Okay, done. Thank you very much. So, hi everyone. My name is Justina Amwa, and I am a youth climate leader. I'm so passionate about climate change. So even after school, I find myself in the climate change space. But I have a background in communication studies where I read communication studies and majored in journalism. So I have a little bit of journalism background. But aside that, I also lead currently, I lead the Youth in Natural Resources and Environmental Governance platform, and it is actually a platform that promotes governance in the natural resources sector. And so I lead some young advocates, I think over 100 young advocates. And these young advocates are also in the space, also by having their own activity or climate actions at the local level. And yeah, that is what I do. So aside the journalism, I also do climate stuff as well. Yes, done.
That's insight. And which part of the country do you come from? If you don't, if you think it is going to be security,
Oh,
don't worry. But if you think you want to share with us, why not? We'll be eager to hear.
yes. I am in Ghana. I'm a Ghanaian.
Okay.
Yes.
But which part of the country?
Which part of the country?
Yeah.
Okay. So I am from the central region, a town called the Ekumfi Ekrofo in the central region. So that is where I am. But I'm currently in Accra.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that is where. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
So Justina is also from my hometown, I guess. Okay.
Oh,
Exactly.
that's why.
This is a reunion. Oh, great to have you.
Know, Kweku, where exactly are you from? I don't know.
I'm from Ekunfi Equity.
Oh,
yeah.
Daniel, I have found my person. Oh, so we can connect after.
It's great to hear. I know well that having two coastal people in the call, one presenting today, one joining us as part of the participants. So it's going to be very insightful because honestly, you have sea turtles coming into your areas and all. So yes, we are looking forward to that. And Blessing, we'd like to hear from you.
What do you want to hear?
A lot. Tell us what you do and which part of the country do you come from?
Okay, so my name is Blessing Kesinonu Aglago. You can call me Kesi. Yes. I have a BA in Communication Studies from the Ghana Institute of Journalism.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. I am currently an admin assistant.
Oh.
Yes. And I have a passion in climate change. I'm from Volta region.
I didn't want to sound all too knowing by saying that your surname gives you away easily. But sometimes you have to confirm. but thank you so much for sharing these with us. Blessing, and it's nice meeting you. On the call also we have Idrisu, and from Idrisu we go to Grace. So Idrisu, good morning if you're in Ghana. Good morning if you're in Nigeria still, because no, good afternoon because you'll be 1 hour ahead of us. Wherever part of the world you are, hello to you, and tell us who you are and which part of the country you come from. Okay. Idrisu, you are unmuted, but then We can't hear you. I think you might have some technical challenge, which will be resolved shortly. Grace. In Chi, they call it Adom. In Ghana, they call it what? Dromo. Tell us, who is Grace and which part of the country does she come from?
Hello, I'm Jifa Grace. I'm from Ghana as well. And I just completed my national service. So I'm currently, just there. I'm into climate action as well. I'm an environmentalist.
Mm.
Yeah, so that's who I am. I'm also from the Volta region.
Oh, so we're having 2 reps from Volta region, 2 reps from Central region. I think we are going to do like an evenly distribution of, of the regions, because I'm going to Idrisu and I'm praying and hoping that Idrisu doesn't come from Central or Volta. I'm hoping it comes from Eastern or somewhere beyond Eastern. Idrisu, let's come back to you again. Hello, Idrisu. Okay, Idris is still figuring out. And if you just joined the call, this is a conversation about sea turtles in Ghana and why we ought to protect them. And as you all know, it's a conversation about biodiversity. It's a conversation about protecting animals that are also helping us live on this planet. We have an introduction section, having conversation between participants, and we've had 2. We have about 4. I want to say 3. Getting to the 4th person, and just joined us. Is Isaac, but then he dropped a while ago. Now the conversation about sea turtles isn't something that should be strange to us, as we raise concerns about how the role of animals in the ecosystem. Today's discussion is going to be a blend of presentation, Q&A, satisfying curiosity, forming networks, and partnering. I don't know where you fall, but then you'd have to choose where you want to maximize your efforts. So the presentation will be starting shortly, and on this call we have Prince Appiah, who is my co-host and a journalist. We have Eunice Osei-Yeboah, we have Kweku Afedzi, and these are brilliant guys, having brilliant participants joining in. Moving in the next, at 7:10, we begin our conversation. So prepping up in a bit, and then we kickstart. We'll be starting with Eunice Osei-Yeboah. Then we'll transition to Kweku Afedzi. Then we move into our Q&A. And the Q&A is not going to be like ask your questions, then we take a response. But it's going to be much more of about, after what you said, what should we do now? Or what should be the next thing we should look at? So here is about championing projects, championing activities, and moving a step further. Now, these are the conversations that are going to be had. Eunice Osei-Yeboah is going to be talking to us mainly on safeguarding sea turtles in Ghana for a sustainable future, right? Looking at you, so she's going to look at it from a collective responsibility perspective. So that's Eunice area. Now, Kweku is going to look at this side of things, making communities a key ally in protecting sea turtles. These are the perspectives. Now let's think through about what exactly we can do. Do we have a pending project? Do you have an ongoing project that you think you can rope in some people? Is there a place we can support? I know SOA did some work in the past month on sea turtles. They did some digital campaign on that. SOA Ghana has gone to the communities to mobilize them, sensitize these inhabitants. And I'll always say, when we look at situations from the perspective of the inhabitants, then we understand it clearer. Because sometimes we see it as a problem, but to them that's not a problem. That is just a way of living and a normal life. So this conversation is going to transcend transcend beyond the virtual meeting into physical meetings to say, let's partner to work a project, let's get a communications campaign ongoing, let's get something done. My co-host, Prince Appiah, will be leading the session with these two brilliant fellows of SOA Ghana. And Prince, who joins me on the call, would like to hear from you, Prince Appiah.
Thank you very much, Daniel. Thank you very much for everybody that have joined the session already. I'm glad to see familiar faces, and I hope this session will be a beautiful one. We are going to learn new things and commit to this cause to champion the need for us to safeguard sea turtles in Ghana. I'm excited to be part of this, and I hope we enjoy ourselves. Daniel.
Thank you so much, Prince. And just a kind reminder, when you're not ready to speak, you can kindly mute so that we have a seamless conversation. Now, let me introduce to you. Prince has said to me what he is and what he is not. Now let's go to Eunice Osei-Yeboah. We'd like to hear from you. Okay. Eunice is working around the microphone, but let me tell you something about Eunice while she's working on the microphone. So Eunice is a researcher and a scholar, and academically she holds a BSc in molecular biology and biotechnology, and an MPhil in fisheries science, which is focused on fish genetics, which has earned her a Dean's Excellence Award at the 54th congregation in UCC. So she's a brilliant fellow, right? Now, currently, she's pursuing her PhD in aquaculture and environmental health, and this is the wealth of experience she's bringing to us. She's a member of the SOA Ghana since she's been a member since 2020, and she's looking at how to use science to improve the lives of people, because research doesn't have to exist in our shelves, in our books, in our online libraries. Research has to have a way of influencing policy and people. And that is what Eunice seeks to work on. So it's great to have Eunice here. Let's go on to my brother and fellow Kweku Afedzi. We would like to hear from you. Okay. Kweku, your microphone is muted. If you could kindly unmute.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Loud and clear.
Oh, all right. So thanks to everyone for joining in the conversation. As you said, my name is Kweku Afedzi. I, for the past a decade or more, been working as a fisheries and oceans journalist. I have a lot of articles and publications on the ocean and the fisheries and stuff like that. I have been a member of SOA Ghana, I think, since 2017. I have been involved in training environmental journalists, and also I have been a trainer for Sustainable Ocean Alliance, SOA Ghana, where we were guiding a team of journalists as part of the SOA Ghana reporting cohort. I think it was 2019, I think so. Yeah, but in recent times, my work has focused on academic, and I've been doing my work in the field of research work in ocean, around the ocean. Currently, I am studying environmental policy and sustainability at the Memorial University of Canada. I'm also taking up another MSc program in marine management, where I'm just specializing in marine law. So you could see that in the past few years, I've focused on the ocean and the marine and what we can do. Most of my research have really centered on indigenous knowledge and how we can tap into that to make the marine environment very sustainable. So great to have all of you here, and we hope that we have a very wonderful conversation. And at the end of the day, we will all be interested and we all pursue a very good agenda to safeguard this very important species that also help us as a human and contribute to the whole marine ecosystem. So good to have you. Thank you very much. I hope my introduction wasn't so long.
We call it a summary. Because there's more for you to share, but this is a summary of who Kweku Afedzi is to us on this call. Thank you so much for the thoughts shared with us. And yes, now what is the conversation going to be about? I had mentioned to you earlier. Welcome, Robert and Isaac. Thanks so much for joining the call. I realized that you joined earlier, but then skipped. Now, friends, Appiah is going to take you through the conversation by Eunice Osei-Yeboah as well as Kweku Afedzi. So yes, I will be handing over to him shortly. And then all the questions you have, don't hesitate to ask. And yes, all these will be shared with you in a jiffy. So yes, over to you, Prince Yeboah, and I'm looking forward to the insightful conversation.
Thank you very much, Daniel. I hope we can start now. If Eunice is available and ready for her presentation, I would want to ask her to proceed and start the presentation whichever way she wants to go about with it. But I'm told you have a special presentation tailored for this event. Then from there, I'll ask some few questions regarding the presentation, then we take it from there. Eunice, if you're ready, let's hear from you.
Yes, I am. Good morning once again. I'm trying to share my slides. Please, can I be given the access to?
Sure, Daniel.
Yes, right. Yes, you are. You have the access. So while Eunice is sharing the screen, Prince, how do you say sea turtles in your local language? Do you have a name for sea turtles?
Sea turtle, Amanakan.
Yeah.
Interestingly.
Please ask Justina. Where is she? Justina.
Oh, okay. I should make Prince rest there. Okay, Justina, where are you? Your Kingsman has drawn you in now, so you have to answer. Justina, what is sea turtle in your local language? Justina will also have to pass the baton to someone. We have Grace Jifa and Blessing. Okay, Isaac has raised the hand. Isaac, yes, you can unmute and share with us.
For sea turtle in our local language, we call it epufru.
Please come again.
We call it in our local language epufru.
Oh, epufru.
Epufru. So it's a fancy. It's fancy. Yes. That's how they call it. And then Daniel, for your information, Isaac is in to support me. Isaac works with the Fisheries Commission in the Western region I told you about earlier. So it's great that we have more or less one of those resource managers, who also have that great responsibility of, protecting these sea mammal animals to be here. And I'm very confident Isaac has a lot to share, examples of what they have been doing as a Fisheries Commission, and specifically what they and other NGOs have been collaborating to be doing. So thank you very much for joining in, Isaac, and great to have you around.
Oh, great. Oh, that's brilliant. Yes, we're still waiting on Eunice. She's working around the presentation.
Yes, we
So,
can ready.
yes.
I guess my slide is visible.
Yes, but you can't see your slide now. Yes. So whilst Eunice is working on it on the technical side, and it's okay, learning for the first time a pufu, right? Good. What about yes, brilliant. Let me ask.
Sounds
Let me
like
go to
Ipufu.
Oh yeah. You see, that is how I learn language. Exactly the way Prince said it. So in my head, I was like, okay, if you want to say April Fool, just say April Fool, but don't let the real come. So that's the easy aspect. So thank you so much, and let's ask the brilliant participants from Volta region. How do you call sea turtle in your local language? Then I'll come back to Isaac to tell me something he's been doing with the food for these times.
My other lady partner should come in.
Why do you always have to pass the button?
I only know the turtle to be glow, but I don't know about sea turtle. I don't know the full one.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
Something like that. So let her come in and help.
Yeah. Jifa, can we hear from you? If they have to make some consultations now, okay. Jifa is still waiting on the call. So Isaac, tell me, in the meantime, whilst we are getting the name for these in our local dialects, Frank, thanks so much for joining, and then let's look at the Isaac. You are coming from the government side, and you've done great work with sea turtles. When was the last time you saw one? And what were the circumstances surrounding it? Oh, okay. So Isaac, you know what? I'll pause here, and all the insights you have to share with us, we'll come back to that. Okay. Eunice's presentation is live now, so handing over back to Prince and Eunice to do their brilliant work. Yes. So yes, Eunice, you're on.
Right.
Prince, you're on. Thank you so much.
So please, can we go to a click, please? All right. So as the days transitioned into weeks and then weeks into months and years, the once abundant yields from the ocean dwindled with each passing moment. And that led to disturbing the depletion of their marine resources. So it became clear that this depletion was the result of human negligence and then rampant anthropogenic activities. And so the livelihood of the fishes and the marine ecosystem were greatly impacted, including conservation-dependent species like the sea turtle. This is the situation we find ourselves in our part of the world, specifically in Ghana. we are going to look at how we can protect these sea turtles for a sustainable future. And then we are making it a collective responsibility. So with the outline, please click. With the outline of this presentation, we would begin with a brief overview of turtles, and then click, please. And then we will look at the sea turtle species we have globally, and then narrow it down to those that can be seen in Ghana. We will look at the ecological importance and the roles they play in the marine ecosystem. And then some challenges they face in Ghana. We will then shift our focus to the heart of our meeting, that is highlighting on the collaborative actions to safeguard sea turtle species. Some key points, conclusion, and some references used. So, introduction, please. Sea turtles are among the smallest vertebrate groups in Ghana. Sorry, in terms of diversity, but they are among the most endangered species. Now, before the status of an organism is defined, it has to undergo a thorough evaluation through various classifications, and then one of them is the IUCN red list. And so sea turtles being listed as an endangered species means that they are at a significant risk of becoming extinct. And so there is a need for human intervention. So there are two main categories of turtles. We have the terrestrial or the land turtles, and then the aquatic turtles. But for the purpose of our presentation, we will focus on sea turtles. These are examples of them. Next slide, please. Sea turtles, all right, that's okay. Sea turtles are marine reptiles that can be found in oceans. And then they are known for their distinctive streamlined bodies and large flippers, and these help them in their swimming. As it stands now, there are 7 recognized species, and each of them have unique characteristics and distributions. So these are the 7 species, the 7 recognized species we have globally. But then in Ghana, next slide, please. In Ghana, 5 of them can be seen along our coast or in our marine ecosystems. Next slide, please. So why have sea turtles become a global focal point of discussion? Why are sea turtles a major concern? The World Sea Turtle Day is celebrated on the 16th of June every year to honor and highlight the importance of sea turtles. So this means that they play a key role when it comes to the marine ecosystems. And so some of the importance of sea turtle are listed below. The first one is balancing the ecosystem. Sea turtles are integral to the health and balance of marine ecosystems. The reason being that they serve as ecosystem engineers or predator control. What they do is to help control the population of some prey species like the jellyfish, because when they overpopulate, they disrupt the food web, and that causes imbalance in our ecosystems, our marine ecosystems. The next one is, next slide, please. They also contribute to nutrient cycling in marine ecosystems. When they nest on beaches, the eggshells and the unhatched eggs provide nutrients such as nitrogen and phosphorus into the beach sand as they decompose, and this help in some vegetations that can be seen along the coast. Another example is they help in carbon sequestration. The healthy sea grass beds are efficient carbon sinkers. So as the sea turtles graze on them, they keep them healthy, and that enables them to absorb and store carbon dioxide. Next slide, please. Also, sea turtles serve as indicators of the overall health of the marine ecosystem. Their population is dependent on environmental factors such as pollution, climate change, and others. And so monitoring them can provide insights into the environmental state of the ecosystem. Also, studying the behavior, migration, and health pattern of sea turtles would provide scientists with information and can inform conservation efforts and also a deeper understanding of the marine ecosystems. Another importance of sea turtle is that they are a major attraction for ecotourism because they draw tourists to coastal areas and that provide economic benefits to local communities. A typical example is what we see there, the sea turtle hatchery in New Ningo Pram Pram in the Greater Accra. Next slide, please. And so we would look at some of the challenges they face along our coast. Sea turtles face numerous challenges or numerous threats, and that endanger their survival and overall population health. These threats can be both natural and then human-induced, but according to findings, many of them are mostly as a result of human activities. So studies have shown that sea turtles are vulnerable to human impacts at all stages of their life. That is from eggs to hatchling, and then juveniles to adults, and that makes them one of the most conservation-dependent marine species. So some of the threats they face include, next slide, please. Habitat loss and degradation. The construction of infrastructures such as resorts, ports, and others in or near sea turtle nesting habitats can disrupt nesting activities and foraging grounds. Also, artificial lighting near nesting beaches disorient hatchlings and nesting females, and this causes them to move away from the sea, making them vulnerable to predation. Next slide. Other forms of pollution, such as we can see, the plastic pollution, marine debris, and chemical pollution also have great impact on the health of our sea turtles. Another challenge is overfishing. Overfishing, as it stands now, is a serious problem in Ghana. Overfishing often intensifies the problem of bycatch, in the sense that as fishing efforts increase to meet the demand of seafoods, more fishing gears are introduced, and that increases the likelihood of capturing untargeted species such as sea turtles. Another challenge is illegal poaching. Studies have shown that over 1 million sea turtles were illegally killed between 1990 and 2020. the poaching of sea turtle eggs for sales and then consumption, as well as harvesting for their meat, remains a serious issue in some coastal communities in Ghana. And this practice can deplete the nesting population. Another challenge has got to do with rising temperature. The rate at which climate change is evolving is too fast. And then some species find it difficult to adapt to the dramatic environmental changes. And so climate change leads to rising sea temperature, which affects the sex ratio of turtles. It is known that during warmer seasons, the likelihood of sea turtles producing females are high. And so when that happens, it leads to skewed gender ratio and other reproductive challenges. And then lastly, inadequate legal protection and enforcement of our laws. Laws aimed at protecting sea turtles exist in Ghana and even in other West African countries. But the problem is there is lack of effective implementation, and that has hindered conservation efforts for the protection of these species. So the question is, are there enough initiatives to protect our sea turtles? Even though there are numerous conservation initiatives and projects ongoing in Ghana, are these initiatives enough to protect our turtles? Next slide, please. So the protection of our sea turtles rely on the collaborative efforts of the government, or I would say the government agencies, the non-governmental organizations, and then individuals. We all have a part to play. And these three bodies engage with the local community. I think the next speaker will emphasize more on that. So when it comes to, next slide, please. When it comes to the role the government play in protecting our sea turtles, they are responsible for creating and enforcing regulations such as establishment of marine protected areas. And then they are also supposed to enforce restrictions on fishing practices and also institute penalties for illegal trade of sea turtles and their products. Next, please. The government is also responsible for allocating resources that will look into research in monitoring the population of sea turtles, research that will look into their migration patterns and also the impact of human activities on them. Another role of the government is also to collaborate with the NGOs, and this will enhance the government's ability to implement effective measures to safeguard these turtles. And also partnering with the NGOs will help them to share scientific data, not just that, resources and then expertise. And since sea turtles often migrate across borders, the government can collaborate with the neighboring countries and international organizations to develop and implement conservation strategies on a broader scale. Next slide, please. So when it comes to our NGOs, and because of the diverse set of threats the sea turtles face, more research is needed to address the challenges of managing their populations and also to help develop effective conservation strategies. Also, the NGOs can implement conservation programs that are aimed at protecting nesting sites and raising awareness about the importance of sea turtles. Another thing too is the NGO can advocate for the development and implementation of policies that safeguard sea turtles. They can work hand in hand with the government agencies or bodies to strengthen regulations and create new ones that would promote turtle conservation. And then lastly, NGOs can collaborate with the local community to develop sustainable practices that reduce human impact on sea turtles. This may involve educational programs, training, and support for alternative livelihoods. What can we do? Next slide. What can we, the individuals that do not form part of the aforementioned bodies, what can we do? We can actively participate in community-based conservation initiatives such as beach cleanup exercise, habitat restoration projects, and also we can create awareness. Next, please. We can also choose turtle-friendly activities and also support eco-friendly tourism operators by keeping a safe distance from turtles, avoiding disturbing nesting sites, and also refraining from purchasing turtle products. And lastly, next. What we can do to help this situation is by educating ourselves, reading a lot, and educating others on the importance of sea turtles. And this will help us bring out responsible behaviors that will support the conservation efforts. And so, next, please. In summary, safeguarding sea turtles is very key for a sustainable future. The reason being that they play vital roles when it comes to the marine ecosystems. And some of them is they play a role when it comes to ecological balance, and they also contribute to biodiversity. However, these important species face numerous threats such as pollution, bycatch, and illegal poaching. Therefore, there is the need for collaborative efforts for sea turtles to thrive for a healthy and resilient coastal environment. So, next, please. So, in conclusion, safeguarding sea turtles in Ghana is pivotal for ecological balance and biodiversity. And then by fostering collaboration and raising awareness, we can collectively ensure the success of conservation efforts. And this will pave way for a sustainable and harmonious future, not just for the sea turtles, but then for the entire marine ecosystems. These are some of the references used. And thank you very much for listening.
Thank you very much, Eunice. That was very insightful and straightforward presentation. Thank you very much for putting in the work and giving us this information. Before we get on to questions from those who have joined us, I just want to ask a few ones to start the conversation. From your presentation, it's pretty much very important that sea turtles are very critical and relevant to our ecosystem, and marine life as well. One thing you mentioned that really touched me was some of the reasons why sea turtles are, going extinct. You mentioned artificial lighting near the nesting beaches. I want to bring it home to Ghana, for instance. we know our fishers engage, our fishermen engage in a lot of activities, yes, that help them catch fishes in our sea. The use of these, special lights in the sea and all that. Can you join the dots for us? How dangerous is this type of fishing to the lives of our sea turtle, and as a result, the ecosystem that is impacted?
Okay. Would you bring out all the questions, or I should address them one after the other?
Yeah, one after the other.
Okay, so when it comes to light fishing in Ghana, unfortunately, we are not following the rules. Countless times, researchers have brought this issue on board, but to no effort. So when it comes to the issue of light fishing and then the sea turtles, as I mentioned earlier on, the sea turtles are left with no options than to move away from these lights, because some way, somehow, they don't help their existence.
Okay, so in this light, from your end, how do we juxtapose this form of fishing, in as much as we want to protect our sea turtles? The fishermen would also want to employ this type of fishing to get their catch. How do we juxtapose them? What would be the advice? How do we go about it? Because the fishermen, most of them, this is how they go to do their fishing, and they are comfortable with that.
Yeah, we all have a part to play, not just the researchers. The media have to come in, the government have to come in, and then there is a need for alternative livelihood, because as it stands now, we are not getting the harvest we used to. And so by education and then research from researchers, from scientists, the media also come into play, we can help this situation. So it's not dependent on just the researchers and the government. The media also have to come to play to address this situation.
Yeah, of course, the media always has a role to play, and we all have a role to play. My next question has to do with some of the statistics you put out. You mentioned that about 1 million sea turtles have been killed between 1990 and 2020.
Yes.
Can you expand on this for us? Is it Ghana alone? Is it the world? Is it Africa? And can we know the status of Ghana situation?
This is a recent research, and it's global, not just Ghana.
Do we have an idea of how, what extent Ghana's figures are?
Statistically, no. This is because we are not focusing on sea turtles. A lot of research has to be done.
Okay, my last
information
question.
When it comes to statistics, it's very scanty in Ghana.
Yeah, and I think that is the biggest challenge when you want to look at this issue, because it is when you have the data to buttress every claim that you make, every statement, that to some extent tells the magnitude of the problem. You understand? So a situation where information data is scanted and research, it makes advocacy and people who are in this field of trying to advocate for the protection of these species very challenged, and that is a gap that I think that all stakeholders must work on, not only for the researchers as well, but that kind of collaboration with government, NGOs, those in academia, and everybody involved must see this as a concern and something that we should be working on toward. And this is I don't know, it doesn't only relate to this area, but in some time past, even in the fishery sector, which is very predominant, data on certain aspect was still limited, and it makes speaking and advocacy very difficult. Yeah, so that's the little I want to add to it. Sister Eunice, I hope my addition is okay.
Yes, Kweku.
Yeah, thank you, Kweku, for
It's
coming.
very unfortunate. So I think the awareness creation should be. We have to really focus on that.
Yes, the awareness is very, very important. For me, I have my reservations as to why environmental education, environmental courses have been restricted to the university when it can be really infused into educational system right from primary right to the top, so that right from the basic schools, children understand that our environment is very, very critical to our well-being and sustainable development. It should be imbibed in us right from primary school through till you are done with it. It should be compulsory, but I don't know why it has been relegated to the background, as it were. I can see Idrisu's hand up. Idrisu, if you have any question, you can go ahead.
Thank you. I'm not asking a question actually, but the issue with over 1 million turtles being killed, I think across 2 decades, from 1990 to 2020, if I'm right.
Yes.
Somebody asked if the situation in Ghana, is that reflective of this? I want to think that for me, these numbers, I'm not surprised, and I will not also be surprised if Ghana's situation is even more, is less impressive. If you consider this, turtles faces a lot of challenges, and here in northern Ghana, I don't know down south, but we eat them. It is food for us. You see, so if anyone walks, comes across a turtle, what he thinks first is the food. We do not actually think that this animal or this thing plays a role in the ecosystem. So each living somehow will contribute to us also living. So first, it is food for us. Secondly, these Hausa people, they sell them. They sell their shells. Don't be surprised. In Africa, we have our own beliefs that you visit, and their shells believed to possess some sort of spiritual powers. So you visit a malam, for a problem for a spiritual solution to any of your problems. And don't be surprised, the items he will ask you to bring, the shell of a turtle may be part of it. So all this, I think, if I should put it in, that should be a cultural factor. So it kind of contributes to a disintegration of the turtles. And I think that the situation here in Ghana, for me, 1 million turtles being killed, if it is the statistics in the world, it should also reflect here in Ghana. Here in Ghana, we especially if you consider our insatiable appetite for seafood. So turtle, is a food for some people. And interestingly, I come from a clan that the turtle is a totem. It is a god. So we revere the turtle so much. And the story is a long one. I will not want to bore you with that. So, but whilst we revere the turtle and we do not, we hold it in high esteem, other people see it as food. They eat it. Some see their shells as to possess some spiritual powers. And so they usually will kill the turtle, take their shells, not even for the meat, but for the shell, to use it for their spiritual issues. So I'm not surprised. And I think that it is one of the reasons that I found interest in this. When the issue of protecting the sea turtles came up, I was so interested in it. And I wanted very much to participate so that I will get I think we have to continue with the education. We should understand that every living organism has a role to play in the ecosystem. So if we find a way to protect them, it will help all of us. Thank you, Daniel.
Thank you very much, Idrisu. Thank you, Eunice. I think that is all I want to ask you. Because of time, I would want us to move on to Kweku. Then afterwards, we would ask more questions when we open the floor. So Kweku, if you're ready, anyhow you want to go, you can shoot. Then we keep the conversation going.
Okay, thank you very much. Unfortunately, I don't have slides, but I've prepared something that I have to go with. There was a little bit of some issues, so I couldn't really put for the slide. But all the way, all the same, I hope that I'm able to take this one up. Yeah. So thank you, Eunice. You've really set the tone for the discussion and for the conversation, which is very good, very, very interesting presentation there, giving us the ecological justification for these animals to be protected, and then also giving us and letting us know one gap, one of the challenge, and it's very pressing one. Yeah, so for me, my presentation is going to be very brief. Even most of the things that I'm touching on, Eunice has touched on a little bit. I will look at conservation status. Conservation of sea turtles status in Ghana. What government and NGOs and everybody have been doing in respect to conservation so far as sea turtles are concerned. I try to look at conservation laws and regulations specifically that seeks to protect sea turtles, and then come back to my main issue where I'm very passionate about how we can cut community support to protect sea turtles. And then finally, I will look at the role of communities in protecting sea turtles. So by way of introduction, sea turtles are not only fascinating marine creatures, but they are also crucial to maintaining the balance in marine ecosystem, as Eunice have already put it. So it's therefore placed a very big responsibility on resource users and resource managers, in this case, the government, if I should say, to conserve sea turtles. So it has to be very paramount to them to conserve sea turtles, not only sea turtles, but several species, marine species that are facing threat or at the state of extinction from habitat. This causes poaching, pollution, and these days climate change. So it is always very important that we look at this thing. So if I should zoom in strictly to like conservation, I mean, conservation effort in Ghana with respect to sea turtles protection can say it hasn't really been what we expect, but it is also not so bad, let us say, because it's more of a multifaceted approach of trying to provide a wide range of initiatives from protection of nesting sites to tireless work of researchers like Eunice, who are tracking the movement of these turtles. And then there are also a number of other initiatives that are ongoing. So I'm just gonna be touching a little bit on the conservation status. I mean, it's just not as we expect, but all the same, it is also not lost. So first of all, we see that the NGOs are doing some quite number of work. I mean, for what SOA Ghana is doing is just one of them. So you could see that most of the effort has been championed by NGOs, and then they have also been support from like government agencies. And so one thing that looking at it is that coordination and partnership hasn't really gelled to the best of everybody. All right. So conservation issues have not progressed as we would have wished. And also, it is also as a result of lack of consistency. And there's also lack of funds and support, because you see that this is what I gathered from the literature actually with respect to how conservation and protection of these important animals in the ocean have been, that projects go, and therefore when projects come and work is started, at a point when the project is no more, the work becomes stalls, and government agencies like the Fisheries Commission, the Wildlife Division, all of them don't have the requisite support, logistics or funds to continue with this project, and it stalls. So it is also worth noting that trying to pursue a conservation that is more inclusive and partnering is also good. However, this has not really has not been the best in terms of what we have seen over the years, because the challenges have always been with community members, and then non-compliance with conservation effort has also been another issue. So on the whole, you see that though some progress have been made with respect to conservation of these species, there's still more room to go. Other efforts which have started and they are positive, there's still more room for collaboration and teamwork. That is where I feel and I'm so much interested in looking at focusing on how communities can really be caught to support this work. Because from the literature, you see that a lot of work is being done by the responsible agencies, but when it comes to adhering and trying to do this, it becomes a problem. And that is where, for me, the challenge is. And that is where I feel a lot of work has to be on and be around how these efforts, conservation efforts, can really achieve success. I mean, so it is one thing sitting down and planning everything, and it is another thing trying to implement them on the field. So with that said, I want to zoom in to look at the law. I try to look at specifically what the laws that protect these animals, and I could only find the Ghana Wildlife Regulation Act. I don't know if there are any that specifically prohibits harvesting of these turtles, actually. So that is the law. And the most dangerous, I will put it that way, the most dangerous thing that we have done is not able to adequately implement the laws as it should. And that has also caused and brought us where we are now. So then, if the laws, at least we have the laws there. There are laws that are there to protect these animals, and it is important that we recognize them as that. Even if for nothing at all, we all know that at least the Wildlife Regulation Act prohibits the harvesting of these animals, and even if there's no any, it should be enough to protect or be adhered to. So with respect to that, the laws, I should say, for me, even if it is one, it's adequate enough to address the problem. What is important is how we enforce these laws and how we implement them to achieve the maximum and the best out of what the law really seeks to achieve. With that said, now let's turn our attention to what specific initiatives can government, NGOs, and stakeholders who work in this space do. Because with respect to communities, because ultimately these are the people who live along the coastal areas where these animals are done. And these are the people who are harvesting them. And if it is about pollution, these people contribute the most to the pollution along the coast. Plastic waste, rubbers, all of these things. So it is important that most of these conservation efforts focus on them. And then it is important that you look at how best collectively and collaboratively you can come up with strategies to address the challenges of sea pollution, and then to the larger extent, how best you can achieve sustainable oceans for everybody. So I'm always have been an advocate for community involvement and community participation in conservative effort. And in the past 2 years, I've been working on research that seeks to integrate indigenous knowledge in this regard. And so this is the point I feel I can really speak more to the issue. So yes, the first thing, if if you want to get community support, actually is very crucial, very, very crucial for the successful and sustainability of conservation efforts. So the first thing that I will mention is a consultative approach. By a consultative approach, I mean involving local communities in the decision-making process. You seek their input on conservation and strategies, and then we listen to their concerns and suggestions. This is something that is lacking, and honestly, in Ghana, we don't do it. The kind of consultation that we do is not, in natural sense, a consultation. It has to start from the beginning, the inception of the idea of that conservation strategy. I want to give you a typical example. You know why 2018 the government couldn't implement it to a closed fishing season? Because fishermen felt that they have not been involved and consulted enough on the decision. And they were right, so they couldn't do it. Okay, these are people who have had years of experience living at the coast, interacting with the ocean, and they have a lot to share. So if at any point in time, and they are ultimately the people who are going to, they are the end users of every conservation effort. So it is something that NGOs, government must start looking into it. You see, NGOs comes, excuse me, you see, NGOs and government, they go sit down, draft something, and come back to the community and start implementing. This is something that is one of the reasons why most of these projects, at the end of the day, doesn't succeed, because the people don't feel connected and don't feel part of whatever processes that is going on. So they don't know. So they will just be there. So I think that the first point is for a consultative approach to conservation efforts in the communities, and it's very useful, and it is something that if stakeholders take it very seriously, it will go a long way to achieve a very great success. So another point with respect to the consultative approach, you can have a community representation. So if there is a committee, or if there is any effort, why not just have a rep from the community who will also include the concerns of the community? It is also ensure that the communities have a voice in conservation initiatives. It is also very important that you see, one thing that is about human nature, there are a myriad of researches that have been done that suggest that people will always become concerned and interested to take part in initiatives that they have been part of its development from the onset. You get it? So people are naturally tend to support initiative that is coming from them. So if the people feel that the conservation efforts and initiatives are coming from them, they go all extent to defend it and protect it and make sure that it succeeds. After all, it came from them. The second thing is that we need more education and awareness. So we must collaborate with local schools in the community. If you go to the communities along the coastal areas, they have some schools. You can collaborate with them, and then you can integrate sea turtle conservation, education, and conversation in the schools. This has nothing to do with GES or at the national level. This can be done at the community level, the schools in the community. Just a matter of just contacting the authorities in the school, and then the authorities in the community, that this is the idea and this is what you want to do. So education is also very important. You see, when Sister Eunice was talking, she mentioned the fact that there is also an economic incentive to why people poach sea turtles and why communities kill them. I mean, Idris spoke about it. We see it as food and we sell them, they get economic benefit, right? Yeah, and there's not enough catch, the dwindling of the fish stock. Okay, but actually, another thing that stakeholders can do to provide economic incentive to also take the people out of this harvesting sea turtles. Okay, so here I have two suggestions that I think if it is looked into, it will be very helpful. One, you can even create job creation that is related to conservation. Okay, sea turtles conservation job opportunities where you can have community members. Okay, you can hire local community members, pay them so that they can monitor and protect effort of sea turtles protection and conservation. So that is one way that you can take people off harvesting these important species of marine animals, okay, because you are giving them more or less like a job that they will do to protect the turtles. Another one is that you can provide training and support so that there are alternative livelihoods that align with sea turtle conservation. Okay, so this can include having tourism initiatives, eco-friendly businesses, and then production of other sea-related or sea turtles-related stuff. These are all some economic initiatives that stakeholders can do in connection with the community so that you can actually get the full support of the communities to address it. I have two more things to talk about and I will conclude. I want to also, one of the things that we normally ignore is the cultural sensitivity, because most often we just assume and conclude that, oh, the local people, they have bad attitude towards conservation and this and blah, blah, blah. But in actual fact, there are cultural initiatives. There are local initiatives and beliefs and practices that are actually related to conservation. Let's take the fisheries industry, for example. Years ago, Tuesdays, our forefathers were not going to fishing. And that is a conservation initiative, something about conservation, because they stop and they feel like it's time they should allow the sea to rest, blah, 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 and all of that. Okay. So respecting and incorporating local cultural beliefs and practices that are related to sea turtles into conservation programs must be a priority. Okay, that should be something that must be looked at very well. Okay, so always understand and appreciate that cultural setting in that community. So you look at how the community responds to conservation culturally. How is it like? And then you when you know that it serves as a basis for you to go in and implement any conservative effort that will be needed. Another thing that would be like the final thing I'll talk about, the what we can do with the community. So we can build the capacity of community members on sea turtle monitoring, nest protection, and even sustainable practices. We can empower these local folks with the skills and knowledge that is needed, and they will be champions in the community for you. They become champions, and they are, because they live in the community and they know themselves and they know the people who are into this, and they will be better placed to do the work for you. So taking the community out and thinking that you are the expert and you have all the knowledge will not really go a long way to achieve the protection of these important species that we are talking about them here. So effort must be put in to provide capacity building for community members and use them as champions, and that will also be very good and something that we can look at. Okay, so these are some few strategies and suggestions that government agencies, NGOs, and stakeholders can really build on to develop a very strong partnership with local communities and ensure a very collaborative and sustainable approach to protecting sea turtles in Ghana. To conclude, I just want to highlight a few of what community members, as in the role of community members, what community members also needs to do. So one thing that communities also need to do is that communities members. Am I okay? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. So one first important thing that community members also have to appreciate is that these are the people who are living near the sea and the sea turtle protection site. So they must first of all also accept the responsibility. When stakeholders have come to you and they have done all the things that I have spoken about, it is now the responsibility of the community to also accept that responsibility to defend the endangered species. Okay, so when stakeholders have also done all that I have spoken about, they have done the capacity building and all of that, the community must accept the responsibility to be champions. Community members must accept the responsibility to be champions and to also work to protect these endangered species. And they must be, this is very important, reporting and providing response. So because these community members, they live near the sea and they interact more, so they know themselves, they know those who are interested. It is their responsibility to report any incident of sea turtle harvest to appropriate authorities for the necessary action to be taken. In some instances, local community members can even make a response in the way of coming to the rescue. If we say there's a sea turtle that has been injured or is stranded along the sea and they see it, they can pull up support and provide some first aid and also help to rescue the animal. These are all initiatives, and all these things can happen if that collaboration and all that I've spoken about have really been there. To conclude, I think my speech, I said I was not going to speak for long, but I think that I've spoken for quite a long time. So I want to bring my presentation here and to say that, in fact, protecting sea turtles requires a collaborative effort. And it is not just the government and its regulation or the NGOs or conservation organizations, but also, very, very importantly, local communities. So the active involvement of local community members is indispensable in safeguarding sea turtles and their habitats. So on this note, I think that communities in Ghana are very able and ready to take up the step to ensure that sea turtles continue to thrive in their generation, in our generation, so that in the times to come, we will not be blamed for the fact that it was during our time that sea turtles were extinct. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Kweku. You said you'll be brief, but you managed to speak for a long time. But that was good. Thank you very much. Let me ask some few questions, then I'll open the floor for others to also ask a question. You have really engaged the communities for a long time.
Yeah.
As a journalist and as an academic.
Yeah.
From what you've observed, my first question is, from what you've observed by engaging communities upon communities. Would you say that the capacity of communities, the indigenous people, have been built to an acceptable level in a ratio of 1 to 10? How would you rate it? The other question is, from your observation, how would you assess the contribution or the impact of state agencies vis-a-vis NGOs in these communities when it comes to education and empowering them to understand some of these conservation conversations?
Okay,
You
thank you.
can take up these two then.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah.
The first question of capacity of community members, I mean, when it comes to the issue of environmental education, ocean space, marine education, it's broad and it has a lot different aspects. Okay, one area for me that I think that community members in coastal communities have received enough capacity is on fisheries. Maybe that's basically because fisheries have declined a lot, and there are a lot of capacity building training here and there, a lot of projects that's aimed at trying to rebuild the marine fish stock. But specifically speaking and honestly speaking about sea turtles. So sometimes some of these communities, you mentioned to them and there's like, what? Why should I? They don't even know the essence of them. They don't have to harvest sea turtles at all. So the education and capacity with respect to that, like endangered species in the marine, no, I'll give them maybe 2-3 out of 10. You talk about whales. Okay, is it whale sharks? Yeah, is it sharks or whales? Any of them? If Isaac is around, he could be better. Tell me more.
Whales.
Yeah, whales. And they feel like the people purposely go for sea to harvest, to catch whales. I mean, when you go to like Shama in the western region, it's one of the key things because they see is fish. They don't see why they should not. The animals are endangered. So there's not much education and capacity so that people and local fisher folks will understand. Okay, for them, it is food. For them, it's about economic benefit. But if you are able to provide that kind of education and training, yeah, they should be in a position to support you. So if you ask me, that's what I say. In terms of what state agencies have done, but I would rather commend NGOs. Environmental NGOs are doing great work along the coast. But for the NGOs, I don't know where our marine environment and all these issues we are talking about, the progress we've made so far and all of that. I mean, it's let's call the state a state. I mean, the state agencies haven't done much. And if the state, you see, it is not the people who are in the state agencies, okay? They have the capacity, they want to work, but the resources are not there for them to do the work. So always, if you see the state agencies moving, it is because they have gotten some funding from NGOs or donor funding to do what they are doing. And aside that, they are just handicapped and they cannot do anything about it. A typical example in the Fisheries Commission, okay, if you see the Fisheries Commission actively moving and going, they have support from the NGOs, money from the NGOs or donor agencies. So government have not been very deliberate in putting much resources into building the capacity of local community members to support conservative efforts in Ghana. If you ask me, I mean, it's good you put them in plain words sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a sad situation. So just like what has happened to our NCCE, we only hear about them when it's getting to elections, and that is the only time they come out to try and educate the public with regards to electoral processes and activities. Even with that, we see how effective those engagement and activities are. Very, very abysmal. An example is our Galamsey fights. I think when the state agencies come together and are really interested in an environmental campaign, it really catches fire, and the people get to rally along with the state, with the country, with the leaders. Basically, we saw what happened with the Galamsey fight and the campaign. When the government decided to start the campaign and fight it, everybody came along. Private institutions, churches, everybody joined in the campaign until the government itself destroyed the campaign. And so I'm saying this to add to what you're saying. If the NGOs who would only go to the communities and educate the people and start the campaign when they have the funds to do so, are unable to get the needed funds all the time to do so, then I think there's a big question mark when it comes to our fight against some of these conservation discussions. Do you think we have, it is possible we will get to a point where some of these conversations will be had easily and see that we are really winning the fight and people are listening and it's catching on? Looking at all these problems that I've listed, these things facing us, staring us in the face. Kweku, I think Eunice, you can also add something to it.
Sorry. So, like you rightly said, it's a sad situation, but the fight can be won. Okay. But at the moment, I don't think the fight is being won. We are at the battlefield and we are at a point where we need to re-strategize. So the re-strategizing will mean that we take up and do some of the things that I've spoken about. You understand? And then the only means for me, I think we can win the fight is when we are able to cut the support of this local community force. Okay, and we can do that if we are able to do some of the things that I have spoken about. And that is not to say that we haven't done much. If you look at like the way I started, some progress have been made, but that is not where we want to be. Okay, we want to go forward and we want to achieve. We want to be at a situation where we have we can boldly and confidently say that, we are at a sustainable period when we have been able to protect these mammals and we have done much. Okay, so it is a sad situation for me because the government institutions and agencies that are supposed to take the lead don't have enough funding, enough resources to do that, and they can only come and call NGOs. And NGOs also get their monies from international donors, which sometimes they come with some restrictions on what they want to do. And preferably sometimes what they want to do is not really what ought to be done in the communities. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Kweku. If Eunice has anything to say, if she doesn't have anything to add to this, then Daniel, I'll leave it to you to continue with the rest of the session. I guess we are in the last phase of our session today. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much for this awesome presentation, and sincere apologies for our earlier technical challenges, and we're coming back here. And to all who made it here today, It's a pleasure to host you and to have these conversations around what we ought to do as a group, what we ought to do as government, and as individuals, what we can do. And I know there are representatives from the NGOs here, having one of the largest youth environmental group here, youth in natural resource and environmental governance. They've done a lot. So as I mentioned earlier, there's a conversation about partnership, conversation about education, a conversation about research connecting with the grassroots, policy making connecting with the researchers, as well as the grassroots connecting with the research and policymakers in one set. So this conversation is we are getting the last phase, and these are the key pointers I took from everyone. I'll be coming to each and every person on the call. On my list here, it's Justina I'm seeing here. Moving on to Christian, Idrisu, Blessing, Jifa, Robert, and Frank. Yes, in that order. So please prepare your what your key takeaway has been. It's an interactive session, as I mentioned earlier, because each and every one, most of the people on this call, I know you've done something in your own capacity on the ocean, on sea turtles. So yes, we'll be coming to that shortly. Now, the conversation has been, and I think Idrisu's point was really struck me when he said that the tortoise is a totem, and that is what drove him into this call. I've been thinking about it and asking the question that, have we forgotten about culture and its impact on our environmental conservation? Or we're all thinking about being modern and organizing campaigns and projects, but ignoring the cultural dimension of all these things we are doing. Because if we understand that we have totemic items, then people will be drawn to protect something. People would proactively report people or report cases of illegalities. When Kweku emphasized on community engagement, about looking at it from the lens of the community, rather than thinking that we are the knowledgeable ones, we are coming to impact knowledge. So the conversation has really been insightful, and I've been thinking now. To me, I've been writing lots of project ideas that could be really implemented, which I'll be mentioning alongside. I think when Prince raised the issue about education, it really struck me, like, how is our educational curriculum like? What does it say about the environment? What can we do? And when Kweku mentioned that, I think we can start it from individual side, where we can walk to the community, speak to the people in charge, organize these trainings, and let it become part and parcel of them. I'm not going to mention everyone's ideas and their key takeaways. Justina is on the line. When Eunice made, so Justina, be prepping up, just sizing up, prepping up ahead of you. When Eunice made the presentation, looking at the government, NGOs, individuals, why we ought to protect these sea turtles. If they have to travel a long distance to a place which they think is suitable, why then, if we are the indigents of the land and we have people coming into our boat, we welcome them. If Ghanaians are hospitable, can't we be hospitable to animals too? Or the hospitality is only extended to other fellow humans, but isn't extended to other living organisms, the biodiversity and others. So we need to really look at what hospitality means and how far can we send it. Justina Amwa is the coordinator of the Youth in Natural Resource and Environmental Governance. And it's a youth platform that coordinates young people's affairs and empowers them, look at policy, campaigns, and young green entrepreneurs, and so many other things. And she joined us on the call today as a key participant, and that is what we are looking at, bringing various stakeholders, bringing key participants, everyone at all, to listen, share their thoughts. So yes, Justina, we want to hear from you. What has been your key takeaway from this conversation? You can unmute. If you know your next person is Christian, so prepping up. If you're struggling to unmute, I can help to unmute you. But if not, you can unmute and communicate. If you're also having some particular challenge, you can use the chat box. Use the chat box to share your thoughts. If you don't want to speak and want to use the chat box, that's fine. That's also looked at. And so while Justina is prepping up, we have Christian. Christian is here. We'd like to hear from you. What has been your key takeaway from these conversations?
Okay, thank you very much, Daniel, for the opportunity. I think I have learned so much from this presentation and conversation as well. I think my area is so distinct from the study of oceans and the environment. My background is health, and I think going through this presentation and conversation or discussion, I have come to appreciate the role of the environment. In fact, sometimes we believe that it's only humans that get affected when the environment gets polluted. And polluting the oceans, today I've learned that it has devastating effects on the marine ecosystem or world. So I think one thing I learned about it is the pollution, not only the fact that it affects human lives, but it affects, animals and also the marine world as well. That is one takeaway. And also I learned about the use of lightning. I didn't know the use of lightning can also kind of endanger the sea ecosystem. So that is one thing I've also learned today. And thanks so much for this conversation.
Thank you too. I think what is going to happen next is that, I was going to say choose someone from the list to respond. But earlier I made an announcement that we are going in a particular order. But we are changing everything now. So Christian, select anyone among the members or among the participants to speak next. Who will you select?
Sorry, you mean I should select anyone on the list, the participants?
Exactly.
Oh, okay. Let me check.
It wouldn't be bad. Okay, well, sorry, maybe your phone, you have to look through again.
Yes, please. I want to, Sister Blessing.
Oh, brilliant.
Oh, I don't like my matter.
Oh, no. I think,
Blessing. You're on the call. Christian chose you from Christian to Blessing. That's a nice combination. Christian, Blessing.
I realize he doesn't like me.
No, that's
He's a Christian, so you should know he likes you.
No.
Yes. So thanks so much for the choice. So Blessing, from Christian's key takeaway, we move to you.
Okay.
What do you make of today's discussions around sea turtles?
So from my takeaway, I've learned, or it has come to realization that there is the need for enough initiatives to protect the sea turtles. It has to do with the individuals. In regards to that, they need to do a thorough evaluation. Then from Eunice's presentation, I think he said we have both natural and then human activities that affect these sea turtles. And then I think it leads to my own perspective of what I wanted to do. How young sea turtles are being affected or are vulnerable to entanglement, and that is by plastic waste. Yeah, so what I've learned is very simple. We all have a role to play to protect these sea turtles and then the marine.
Awesome. Now, from Blessing, who would you choose
Yes.
next?
Who will
To
I choose
to
next?
yes.
Yeah. Where is Jifa?
Why are you always looking for Jifa?
Definitely.
Do-
Okay,
it
let me
seems
change it, please. Idrisu.
good. Thank you. I appreciate this. All right. So Idrisu is next, and whilst Idrisu is prepping up to share with us what he thinks about today's presentation, and he's made his submissions earlier, and we want to hear more from him. What has been his key takeaway from today's discussion on sea turtle? Idrisu, over to you.
Yes, thank you. I think the presentation has been excellent, and I could not have been more grateful, for the time to be part of this. And I should say kudos to the organizers, of course, including my friend Daniel. And of course, Miss Eunice for the wonderful submission. I think that for me, like I stated earlier, I come from a family that reveres the turtle. And for what I have learned today, I think that going forward, I should even show more reverence, and we should not just can travel from New York to Ghana to lay, I mean, for looking for a place for a suitable place for reproduction. And for me, that is even if like you call it a fun fact, I didn't know that. And I'm thinking that if turtles will travel this far with all the risk involved, and then they come here, they lay their, they go through the processes to give birth, and then somehow it is interrupted by human factors. I think that we are not, we are not as hospitable as it is put out there. I think what we can do as a people is to appreciate the fact that all living creatures who are in the system are not there for nothing. Of course, some of them are dangerous, but even in their danger, we can still find some positivity, some positive, hallmarks, and that is for all of us to do more to protect the turtle. Someone mentioned the fact that even just light is enough to scare away the turtle, and it tells you there are some rivers here. We do not have a sea as always, but there are some rivers here that we have the turtle. And most of the time on the river banks, you see them come up, all in the name of reproducing. And here, most of our river banks find sand wind very rampant. And sometimes they are doing the sand wind and sand mining, or is it sand wind? And then they see the eggs come across the eggs of the turtle and they carry them away. All of that, it's not the best. And I think that from what I have learned today, I think I am inspired to do more as far as the protection of the turtle is concerned. I am grateful And thank you to the organizers and to my colleague participants.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And just a bit of
But
clarity here.
someday I'll tell you the story about why we repair the totem.
Yeah. Forward to that.
All right, it is a very interesting story.
And honestly, we will do an exclusive on that with you. And I would really love to get that perspective on. And
Okay, I'm around.
Yeah, as
Any
Idrisu
day I'll be
mentioned.
ready.
Yeah, as Idrisu mentioned to us, he is an editor at Majority Radio in Northern Region, and an editor. So that means we can partner with him, work with him, any of the organizations here, work with him on that. Visit him, engage him, because then you understand that when I started the conversation, I mentioned, communities around the coastal communities, share with us more. Then Idrisu came in about totem, and that's changed the conversation and clarity on the movement. So I was citing an example to say that they travel about 3,700 miles.
Wow.
Yes. And that is in comparison to New York to Ghana. So they have to travel so much to a conducive place. And the reason they come to Ghana is that, one, Ghana is a viable place. That is why they come to Ghana. So if Ghana is a place that they are confident that they can lay their eggs, then if we don't accept them properly, then we are going to endanger them. So that is the clarity here. And you see, Ghana's coastal line is very vital to their habitat. So, and sea turtles, they are in different types. We have the Olive Ridleys, we have the Leatherbacks, and we have the green turtles. And these are the ones that mostly come to Ghana's coastal line. So the conversation is now moving on. Idrisu, you would have to select someone to come in. I've seen Jifa putting in the chat box on what she thinks. I'll be reading that shortly. So that means Jifa is out. Who would you choose next to share his or her?
I'm not sure my friend Prince Appiah has spoken.
Oh, Prince is my co-host.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So if you unleash him now, you summarize everyone's points.
Oh, okay. So
let's hold him. Let's hold him for now.
Let's do Kweku Dala.
Hey, Kweku Dala was on the panel. So let me give you the options. Okay. We have Justina, we have Frank.
Okay, Frank will do.
Okay, good.
I don't want Justina to think I hate her.
So this is a brother to a brother. We'll deal with each other, on that level.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So yes. Good afternoon, Frank. Please come again.
Hello? Yeah,
yes,
good afternoon.
Loud and yes.
Great. So
yes, we have a little. Yeah, we have a little break in it, but I think it's better now.
Is it okay?
Good. It is now.
Okay, good. So first of all, thank you very much for this particular webinar. I think it's really great. This is my first time actually joining something like this, and I really appreciate it a lot. I'm Frank Kumson. I work with Be Inspired with Stories from Africa. And from this conversation, we realize how the African continent has beautiful species such as the sea turtle, So I really appreciate this particular conversation that we are having. When one of the speakers was speaking, I'm having bad internet connection, so I've been going on and off. But I have one thing about we promoting or creating more awareness. He said something about Shama and all that, and how they are even not kind of doing proper fishing and all that. So some people don't even know the essence of these species. So we should raise awareness and make sure that they don't endanger anything can you imagine that even a light can endanger some of these species, and it's very bad. So from my key point or takeaway is to, one, reduce pollution. Two, we should raise awareness, more education in the communities, and also you have to support the conservation of sea turtles in our communities. And even if there are laws that are binding this kind of or protecting the lives of these creatures, I think we should support it. Yeah. So basically, yeah, that's my take on it. And thank you very much once again for the opportunity.
Okay, thank you so much, Frank, and I appreciate this input. Frank, that means Justina is the last person to share with us, and then I read submission from Grace on what she made of today's program. Okay, so while Justina is still configuring her audio, and let me make a quick mention about Frank. So Frank is Frank documents these conversations about the impact people are having on your communities. So if we start, if anyone on the call starts rolling out projects, you can reach out to Frank, and Frank will be there to assist in telling your story and putting it out there for people to watch, listen, and you have a great audience on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook. So whichever project you're working on, reach out to Frank, and Frank will be there to assist. And so whilst we are wrapping up, please remember to put your number, your phone number in the chat box so that Prince could coordinate that to assist with a few things. Then, while Justin is off, so let me read what Grace Jifa had shared with us. Now, to her, her key takeaway is that we need to protect the breeding grounds for the turtles. And by educating the natives and inculcating environmental studies back into our educational system from primary to the secondary level. So those are key takeaways. One, protecting the breeding grounds. Two, no, so there are three. One, protecting the breeding grounds by educating the natives, and two, inculcating the environmental studies. And I think she also believes that in our own way, we can participate in the protection of turtles and other oceanic species by creating awareness and sensitization. So we have social media, we have the offline media, whichever media you have access to, use that to communicate to them. So yes, kindly share. Idrisu, I've seen Idrisu share his name and phone number. Frank has shared his number and email brilliantly. That is what we're asking for. So kindly look into the chat box, share those details with us and those contact information with us. We'll reach out to you on follow-ups and many other things. In wrapping up, I would like to appreciate Eunice Osei-Yeboah for her brilliant presentation. And it's been an eye-opener having to listen to the facts she mentioned, having to break down these information to us and make it accessible. We'll be reaching out for more. And as we mentioned here clearly, there are communication specialists in the call. Blessing, Grace, Prince, and so many others. Unfortunately, Justina couldn't make a last submission, but they know this means that there's a lot for us. And yes, Eunice, you'll be rest assured that there will be commitment from us to also decentralize the information. And then also, thank you so much, Kweku, for giving us details on how communities can support the breeding grounds, how natives should be considered in project development. And this will lead to a sustainable conservation phase. So instead of moving from our own places into the communities, engaging them from the root start. And I love that presentation that came out from them. Thank you so much, Prince, for moderating the discussion. And we appreciate each and everyone's time here. It's been great hosting and having you on this call by SOA Ghana here in Accra. And thank you all for coming through, and have a blessed morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you find yourself in this part of the world. Thank you so much and have a great day.